everybody, welcome back to GeekStorm. This week's episode filmed in beautiful downtown Kokomo. We're at 111 East Sycamore, just a couple doors down from 121 East Sycamore, where you'll find Comics Cubed, home of TV legend Sean Hilton.
I mean, for which thing?
Go ahead.
I mean, which thing am I a legend for?
Why are you a legend?
No, which one?
Oh, you're legendary.
I mean,
okay, you're like Clapton, who on his passport it just says legend.
Legend?
Yeah, that's you. It's not. You know, we're here at Kokomo Toys and Collectibles, the premier toy store in the country.
Midwest.
There's no question. There's no question. They even did that TV show. They put him on the episode. They said, the guy said, "This is a place I want to go. I've always wanted to go there. I always hear about it. This is a place I want." And that's his job. He's a toy guy.
The only mistake I think they've made with that program was making the world wait till the second season for this store.
Right.
That just seems ridiculous to me. But I suppose you have to save the best towards the last.
Sure.
So
sure.
I'm sure that's what was going on. If you haven't already checked it out, check out on Amazon Prime the toys that
Toy Store near you.
Made by the people who are somehow involved in the toys that made us, I believe.
Yeah. Either way.
Toy Store near you, Amazon Prime, Season 2, Episode 4 features the location that we film in every single week, and we think it'll be not only a little educational, but inspirational. Because right now, your toy collection, your comic collection, it's good. But if you come to Geek Street, it could be better.
Speaking of the comic shop, a lot of times we get towards the end of the show and you don't have time to talk about your comics. So please take 25 to 30 seconds and talk about all this stuff that you overordered that you're really trying to push.
I am very excited to share with everybody Aftershock's newest book. It is called Scout's Honor.
I think it's a good book.
It is. As for Overstocked, this is the only copy I have left to sell, so I'm not overly worried about that.
Sold.
This is a post-apocalyptic book where bombs have dropped, people come out of the caves and blah, blah, blah. But the idea is that this new society is based on a book written for scouting.
Oh, okay.
Now, it does turn out, we find out in the very first issue, that particular book wasn't like the classic version of your Boy Scouts, but there are a lot of similarities. Obviously, it's based upon that. This is not an all-ages book, though.
Okay.
It is an adult book. It is a action-adventure, very violent. I don't know that you're seeing tropes in here that we haven't already seen in other genres, but honestly, I can't tell you any movie, novel, video game that's being produced that doesn't now base themselves on tropes we've already seen. But the thing that this does is it does it very well. I read a lot of comics. I've read comics for a long time. This has a twist that I didn't see coming.
Oh, cool.
And then I'm like, oh, okay. And then looking back, I'm like, that makes sense. It all worked within the parameters of what we've learned. There is 2 major twists in the first issue that set up a lot of drama.
Okay.
It is a good read. It's not the super fast read, and that's a good thing. Because sometimes I read a comic like this is a $5 book. And if I read this in 3 minutes, I don't get value.
Right.
So this takes a little bit. The art is magnificent.
That's what she said.
And the story is following, again, 2 particular scouts in general, and then that leads into some other things. I don't want to ruin any spoilers, but if you're looking for a really good, solid read with depth that is going to entertain you, I highly recommend Scout's Honor.
I have a copy. I haven't read it yet, but I
really should check it out and read it.
I will.
And it's one of those things that everything now gets picked up. Like, I wouldn't be already surprised if this isn't already optioned or was optioned before it even came out. It's hard to say. You follow a little bit more than that than I do, because I just assume this GeekStorm has actually probably been optioned for something. We just haven't got the paycheck yet.
You didn't hear?
Did you get the paycheck?
Yeah, I've got 2 paychecks.
You.
One of them had your name on it, and you are incredibly easy to forge.
Well, that is very true. All right, and then next up from DC Comics, which is one of the big 2, split off from Diamond at the beginning of the pandemic, and so they've made a lot of news lately. What they have done is basically they have taken off an entire month, possibly 2, from their normal publishing schedule to produce something called Future State, which is a jump in the timeline of DC Universe and basically all new characters in the roles of your favorite characters. Like, Diana is not Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Clark Kent is not Superman.
How far in the future are we
Bruce
going?
Wayne. I haven't actually. I've not read one of these.
Okay.
Because
They fly off the shelves.
As you know,
they fly off the shelves.
This is only in my hands because somebody put this back 5 minutes before we closed the store yesterday.
Right.
We have got only one book has actually made it to the shelf. Everything has been pre-ordered or is being emailed, Facebook message, hey, I want this. So just happen to get a copy of this. The very first week start was last week. Everything sold out nationwide. They went back to a second printing. They went back to second print the second week's books before they went on sale. So it's a big hit. A lot of first appearances, I believe, or at least appearances of people.
They should all be first appearances.
Well, if you use character like legacy characters. So if Batman, which I don't think is true, was like Tim or Damian, which would have made sense in a jump in a timeline.
Right.
That would have been a character you've already seen. But highly recommend checking them out. Beautiful art, great story so far from what my customers have said. A lot of them went into it last week with a little trepidation because sometimes these like little shot, 2-shot type of things, they feel like, yeah. The other thing is it's got a little history. Dan DiDio, who was the publisher, president, whatever, for Detective for ages, got fired right before the pandemic hit. Had been with the company a very long time, was solid ground. He made a lot of big decisions. And one of the big decisions they were talking about was they weren't calling it Future State back then. They were calling it something else. And basically, they were going to do this for a much longer time.
Oh.
And fans freaked out. People freaked out. We don't know why Mr. DiDio actually was relieved of his position, but it wouldn't shock me if this didn't have something to do with it. Backlash from other events and things of that nature. So we'll talk about this a little later. I've taken enough time. Let's get into some of your stuff, sir.
You wanted to talk about this Indiana Jones video game.
Man, I'm hoping right now, and I don't usually do it, that we've got a clip that's about to play that gives you the 30-second little intro of the sneak peek that was put out into the world. Are we going to have that, sir?
Yes.
All right, here it goes.
Or at least a link. And we're back.
Did you like that?
It was great. It was great.
This is what's so cool about Indiana Jones. You can take an old desk, put some crap on top of it, play that music, and just show me a whip and a hat. They did it the same thing with Indiana Jones 4 when they did the initial reveal on that. They showed a set, nothing on it. We don't know what's going on. And then there's a case, like a travel clothing case. They unzip it, and there's the hats.
Wow.
And that's all you needed to know. If you see that fedora, you see that whip, you know Indiana Jones. Now, Bethesda is bringing us a new game, very little to no information. The only thing we can do is assume, we have to assume, obviously, we're in the next generation of consoles, so this game is going to have to be produced with A, computers, or B, all new consoles. So PS5, Xbox, the white box, whatever it is.
I'm not sure what it's called.
And what was fun was they did it, and in the little opening credits, you see the words Bethesda on something. You see Machine Head, which is the other producer, and all that. Then you see the hat and the whip. And so that was enough. But then immediately Bethesda had like a little conference-y kind of thing to start explaining a little bit. I'm like, I would have let that sat for a week and fester in the minds of people. Like, okay, Bethesda, video game producer, Machine Head. You would have got some people doing their own research. And instead, they jumped on it. So unfortunately, I didn't see that yet, but it's Indiana Jones. It's going to be a new story. I want to check that out. Very excited to see anything with that.
What do you think is a good age to just show somebody Indiana Jones for the first time?
I think, again, this is the year now 2021, and you have to gauge each child by their emotional maturity, not their age maturity. Like, I think some 8 to 10-year-olds can easily handle.
I think the final scene. The final,
the melting
scene is probably the only thing that I would really have a question about.
I saw Indiana Jones in the theater when I was 10 years old.
Wow.
And it is to this day one of the, highlights. If I think back.
Is that like 82-ish?
Yes. I have more fond memories of seeing Indiana Jones the first time in the theater than I do Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
It's one, I went into Return of the Jedi knowing, Star Wars, that's going to be cool. So I had gone into Indiana Jones like, all right, those commercials look cool. I think as a 10-year-old, that is what I probably like.
Right.
And they delivered everything that I like. So into this now, I'm almost 50 years old,
Right.
and looking back on it, he is still my favorite. He's probably my favorite character.
I do remember I saw Indy in the theater 5 times. That's the
Really?
first movie, I think, the
You
first movie
win.
I ever saw multiple.
Well, you might not win
times.
now over. Maybe
I saw Jaws 3 times, and I saw.
Initially, were you old enough to see
Yeah,
Jaws?
absolutely. Well, I was back then. You could
Just go in.
well, if your parent took you.
Oh yeah. I mean, you still do that.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't go in by myself.
Okay.
Jaws 3 times, and I saw Conan 3 times. Those are the 3 movies I remember seeing multiple times in the theater.
Did your parents close your eyes when the witch scene took place?
Nope.
Like, no, you can't watch the witch scene.
Nope. We had HBO, dude.
Oh well, he didn't live out of the sticks.
I'd seen it all. I'd seen it all.
But either way, Indiana Jones, new material coming out, and then of course we've also now know that we're working on a 5th film, but Harrison's coming back. But Harrison's what, 80?
At least.
You know, he's up there a little bit.
Yes.
He looked rough in the last Indy Jones, but at least they played that into the timeline.
Right.
But the bigger thing here, I think, is other than Harrison returning as Indy, is Steven Spielberg, who's directed all 4 of the movies, whether you like that 4th movie or not, is stepping down and will not direct. I think he's still producing, he is still involved, but they're letting a new director for the first time take the reins. So, if we're going to allow a new director, I mean, it's a big franchise, it's a big deal, to step in, does that mean now we're finally able to start talking about a replacement actor for the future? Is it time for Indiana Jones to have more adventures in the 30s, 40s, early 50s with a new incarnation, a new actor doing a James Bondy thing and giving, because Harrison can't do that role anymore.
I'm sure at this point, just like when they made 4, they're thinking, this is going to be Harrison's last ride.
Yes.
That's the age he was then, that's the age he is now. So it's easy to say, you know, this is going to be his last one because he's a certain age. I don't see, as long as Harrison Ford is alive, even if he's 90, I don't see somebody else taking up that mantle until he's been gone for a while. And we do an actual reboot, you know. But man,
the thing is I never want to see a reboot. I don't want them to reboot. These movies need to stay canon.
Oh, okay.
They need to stay canon because they happened. Those are his adventures. But we know that he could have easily had more adventures. There's hundreds of books, several video games.
Sure.
You know, there's enough comic books. There's enough material.
So you'd have to recast
to say
everybody. You'd have to recast.
Yes.
You need a new Sala. You need a new what's his name?
I mean, Sala eventually would have to be replaced, but let's face it, that guy is he's kind of timeless.
Well,
He's
the monarch of the sea.
He's Sala, and you know, if I can put a fez on him, he's going to be good.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so that's what's going on with that. We still we were told a time of like 2022, but I believe now everything is probably in a wash of what's really going to happen. So it's hard to say.
Productions are happening again, but studio releases are getting pushed again too. So I think it's been an interesting 6 months to see as things, and they're not yet winding down, but when they do because of a vaccine, what the studios do with release dates and pushing back. There's renewed talk of Black Widow being on theaters and Disney Plus Premium again. I think that was
another $30 rental.
I don't know how much was Mulan. I think it was $19 or was it $30? I don't know. Was it $30?
It was like 20 or $30.
That's tough.
It's hard. And you still had to have a subscription.
Yes, it's
to
subscription
Disney Plus.
plus that.
So yeah, it wasn't like, hey, I'm doing you a favor.
Right.
You know, you're going to get the. I mean, they gave us what, Soul for free.
Yeah.
So Warner Brothers threw out Wonder Woman. Now there's maybe a better reason for why they threw that out for free.
Yeah.
But I didn't necessarily. I would prefer to have seen Wonder Woman before I saw it, '84 in a theater. After seeing it, was perfectly fine seeing it at home and not paying any extra to see that.
Right.
Black Widow, I want to see in a theater.
Yeah, I do too.
This is I mean, worst case scenario before this all went down. This was a $750 million movie.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know that Black Widow gets to the billion like so many other Marvel movies did, but $750 million, I feel comfortable saying, you know, I'll put a dollar bet.
With very
on
few
that
exceptions,
kind of
all these movies were going like this. You know,
Yes.
they were all, even Doctor Strange and some of the lesser known characters were still
scaling in an upward direction. Absolutely, nobody was taking a dip.
Speaking of the Marvel Universe, then, so WandaVision comes out tomorrow.
Now, midnight tonight.
I think it's midnight tonight.
3 o'clock in the morning tonight.
I don't know. I'll be asleep at both of those times.
Oh, you're not that guy? I'm not that guy either.
Yeah. Do yourself a favor and check out. They have started a new series called Marvel Legends, in which they take I think 8 to 12 minutes on these first two. They're going to take, as things are getting ready to be released, whether in the theater or on Disney Plus, they're doing a short recap of that character. They did an 8-minute recap of Wanda, and then they released also at the same time another separate recap of Vision. Just basically their history in the MCU. It's got nothing to do with the comics. It's this is who this person is. Hey, remember this awesome moment? Remember this awesome moment?
So we're not bringing in like Chris Claremont or big name creators to go, hey,
no.
This is when.
Matter of fact, there was no narrator. Period. It was
okay.
It was all
like a clip show.
Yeah, it was all clips, but it was well done, and you really felt
no more mutants.
They really felt the moments, and you know what you just said is. Who knows what's going to happen? That's why I'm excited about this show. It is going to be different, and I think there will be people, even hardcore Marvel people, that are like, I'm not crazy about this, because it's a completely different format. It's a completely different type of story in which it's not linear, or if it is linear, it's not. We're dealing with reality. So with Wanda having those type of powers, what we see in the black and white, in the 80s and the 90s sitcom things that are going on, I won't be sure. We won't be sure exactly what we're seeing on the screen. Is it really happening? Is it just in her head? Is this all happening in Vision's head? Is this all happening inside the gem right before it explodes? Who knows what's gonna happen in this thing? It's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be exciting.
I think people are gonna want to watch it, even if they don't want to watch it, because I think there's going to be enough Easter eggs.
There's a thirst.
Things going on that are going to impact the greater Marvel universe as a whole.
Yeah.
This will be the first time that we have seen an offshoot character in this format. What are they going to do with it? I mean, she can now do something much longer than a single movie.
Right.
Plus, I'm still going to stick with a lot of this is in her head, or like you said, the gym. This is an alternate reality situation. I think Vision is still destroyed, and this is her coping with it. And would not be shocked at all if this isn't how they introduce mutants into the Marvel universe. And if they do that through this TV show, I think that'll just melt people's brains.
Yeah.
And
it's hard to say.
Not that they need any help getting more subscriptions to Disney Plus, because I think it's breaking all the records.
Right.
But that, by the way, this big Easter egg was she's a mutant now, and this is what they just did with it.
Now she's got a storied tie-in history with mutants in general, whether she is or isn't a mutant, son of, or daughter of Magneto or not.
She is a mutant. She is the daughter of Magneto.
Whether or not
that is it.
She's also appearing in the Doctor Strange movie. Yeah. She's filming in that right now. So, and that's called the Multiverse of Madness, where we're gonna, I'm positive, see some more stuff coming from different aspects or different iterations of different Marvel movies. So who knows how much of that is going to leak into this TV show? It's going to have Monica Rambeau in it.
Grown up.
Yeah, grown up Monica Rambeau. It's going to have Agatha Harkness. We don't know who Emma Caulfield was just announced a few days ago that she's in it. So she's
not old enough to be Agatha unless they really do some makeup.
Right. So I think she's great. I always loved her as Anya in Buffy. I don't care who she is as long as it's not bunnies, because if there are bunnies around,
can't they pay us to save the world?
No. Action is our reward.
Action doesn't pay the bills, honey.
so anyway, that's...
I love Anya. She's great.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see. Plus, Agatha Harkness, great character.
Yeah.
Very eager to see that. And she can also easily tie into a Doctor Strange thing as well if they don't whack her.
And Kathryn Hahn is a great actress, and she's known mostly for her comedy, but she's very funny, but also she's got that turn. She all of a sudden, she's just a little scary to me sometimes, you know. And
it's a great feature to have. There's so many. You know me. I love the light switch. That is like one of my favorite. Hey, I'm happy. Light switch. Death and destruction. So
speaking of new things that just came out a few days ago, as far as surprises, Harry Lennox, the guy who played the general, the military guy in Man of Steel. And I think in one of the Justice Leagues was also in it too. He said that we're going to find out in the Snyder Cut, which is not a cut anymore. It's a
new film.
It's a thing. It's a new deal. He's going to find out that all along they planned on his character being John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, and he is going to. That apparently we're going to be able to see some of that. I don't know if we'll see him in form or what, but that'll at least be out there. So that's kind of cool that was a mystery the whole time, and kind of a hard secret to keep, I think. And,
what's this up to now? 3.5 hours, 4 hours?
I heard 4 1-hour show episodes, and that's the latest anyway. But I don't know if that's still the thing.
It's a little strange to cut it up into episodes. I don't like that. Other than they're just maybe trying to... Once the 4th episode's done, I want them to put the cut together. I don't want to have to watch 4 episodes. You know, you finished it, now make it whole. Otherwise, it's not a movie. That's weird.
No, it's not a cut anymore. I don't think.
I think that whole thing.
It's definitely they've done so much reshooting that it's crazy.
They've also just had a major preview for What If. Did you get a chance to check that out?
Like within the last couple of days?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I saw something maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Was it 2 or 3 weeks ago?
Well, I saw at the.
Is that where they showed it? I mean, the Watcher actually speaks, and you see scenes from several different episodes.
Yeah, they showed that at the Investors Day.
Man, that looks really good.
It really does, man.
And the other thing is like, do we think that's Chadwick Boseman's one of his last performances?
Yes, that is him.
So,
I don't know if it's his last performance, but that is him.
So yeah, they look like they're doing some fun stuff. We knew about the Captain America episode, which is probably the very first episode, being Captain Britain or whatever with Hallie Atwell. Was that her?
Haley Atwell, very close, very close.
And that looked really good. But now it looks like we're going to take the Black Panther storyline and integrate that into the Guardians of the Galaxy storyline.
Yeah, I don't know.
So that could be a lot of fun if they're doing that.
We're going to get Marvel Zombies.
Oh yeah, that looked awesome.
It did. It really did.
Really stoked. So
it really did.
I love the original 1980s What If. That's one of
too.
my favorite things.
Yeah.
They rebooted in the 90s. It was good. It could have been better, but for the generation that was their first version, I'm sure for them that was great.
Yeah.
And then we've had other incarnations of that same series, but the original really covered most of the big events, and it's a true classic. So to see it come together. Now, the only thing is though, this is all Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes.
There's nothing 616 universe about it.
Correct.
My hope would be, if this does well enough, that the first season would be Cinematic Universe, and then eventually we get 616 Universe, which is the Marvel comic book universe, which is very, very different than the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Even though Marvel tends to try and kind of swerve things over to the Marvel Cinema every once in a while, Black Widow's kind of lined up with that a little bit, but
well, I don't know how many episodes we're going to get in a first season.
Well, I'm going to guess we're going to get one for each movie.
Yes, but my question is, are we going to get 8 and then 8 and then 8 and spread it out over 3 seasons, or what? Or are we going to get all 24 in 1 year? I don't know. But they are the premise of the show we've talked about many times is just it's a little twist somewhere in a history or in a moment in the movie or the comics. But they've also said that they're going to do 1 episode per MCU movie that's come out. I don't know if they're doing them in order, but there'll be a Doctor Strange episode, which that animation looked awesome that they showed.
Dormammu.
Yeah, so there'll be 1 for every movie. So if that's all at once or if that's over a few years, I don't know.
That'd be cool. Now, we're at the point, I believe, Daredevil is now back in Marvel's hands again from the Netflix deal.
Yes.
And I think probably Jessica Jones either is or is about to be, because I think all of those series revert at a different time from when they were originally aired.
Yeah.
So Iron Fist will probably be the last one to revert back. So what I'm curious about, and maybe you know, maybe you don't, do they get access to the shows now, or does Netflix always get to have access to those programs?
Netflix, those shows will never be on Disney Plus. Those are
Netflix.
Those are owned by Netflix.
So we won't see like a What If based around
Right.
if Iron Fist had been a good TV show.
The only caveat being,
happen.
like you said, the time limit for the actor to play that role and the character to be shown at all on screen has gone.
So Charlie
now.
Cox can now be Daredevil, or they can recast Daredevil, and he is ready to go.
Yes, he's heavily rumored to be in either the new Spider-Man or which I think that's a mistake. We're gonna get so many characters in that anyway.
Yeah.
Or maybe the She-Hulk show. Or
the She-Hulk show would be great, because having the 2 lawyers.
Yeah.
We've seen that in the comic books before a couple times, where She-Hulk and Matt Murdock have gone up against each other.
Right.
That would be a great, classic, and I think we would all love that.
Yeah, so.
And usually it's a good back and forth. There's been a couple times where they've had Matt just school her, but mostly for effect. So
Jessica Jones is also heavily rumored to be in the She-Hulk show as well.
I could definitely see that, because I could see She-Hulk. That's a great cast to have, because then you can have her having a investigator character, and obviously that would work. Unfortunately,
and Jess gets in trouble.
Serious.
Yeah, but she gets in a lot of trouble, so she needs a lawyer. And if Hogarth isn't around, I don't know if Hogarth survived the series or not. I don't know. But if she's not around anymore, then she's gonna need a lawyer.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Hogarth had cancer, I think, in the second or third season.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Robert Kirkman, the creator of The Walking Dead, several other things, Invincible, which I believe is about to be an Amazon Prime animated series,
Correct.
has a new project that he's been working on for several months now called Firepower. Firepower is about a young man named Owen Johnson who travels to mystical Tibet, kind of looking for a Shangri-La kind of thing, and basically finds your super karate school in the mountains that's secret and all that. And the very first item they put out was an original graphic novel. So this book represents the very first issue / basically the first series. All in one go. Superb. His best work easily since The Walking Dead. If you haven't checked it out yet, I don't care if you get it from me. I don't care if you get it. Don't get it from a big bookstore. Screw those guys. Go buy it from a comic book store. Don't buy it from Amazon.
Ugh.
Take the time to find a comic book store. Give them the money. They could use it a hell of a lot more than those other people. But Firepower is an excellent drama. The very first one, again, the Prelude, which is volume 1, they're spined out, has a complete story of his journey, how powers and the drama and everything else that's going on with it. And then the second one, volume 2, has just come out. This is the first 6 issues in the ongoing series.
Okay, so this is standalone all on its own.
It's all one go.
This is not in any other form.
Nope.
This is the first 6 issues of the monthly book.
The floppies,
Gotcha.
all in one go.
Gotcha.
So you don't have to wait to 6 months now. You can get them all in one thing. So you can get the first, this is how it all kicks off, and then there's a time jump, and this is what's going on right now.
Okay.
And really good stuff. Great characterization, superb art. Chris Samnee's doing it, and he is amazing. Wonderful action. There's the second one has a family element, and just really, if you're going to check out one new thing and you're not sure what to do, this is what Iron Fist could have been, and never bothered to be.
Right.
So that would be my recommendation. Check out Firepower, Robert Kirkman. You're going to love it.
Okay.
Great read, and the first one is only $9.99.
That's pretty good for a whole trade paperback.
It's their usually it's anywhere from $16.99 to $24.99. This is the first bits free or cheap kind of a deal, and they do that with a lot of those. Plus, I mean, Robert Kirkman, he's always in it for the long run, so he needs to get you to read that first book. He feels that if he gets you to read this first one, you're going to be hooked, and I think most people. Have you read that yet?
No,
I
own it.
Should read it.
I own it.
You're a busy guy, but you're not that busy. You're when you're not saving the downtown from burning into a fiery cinder, because some people just want to see the world burn, you have time to maybe.
I worked 570 hours of overtime last year.
Did you choose to do that?
Yes.
Okay, then don't do the whole
I'm just saying,
head down, I'm tired, and beat up thing. You got paid to do it, son.
Well, the pay doesn't make my body less weary.
The job doesn't make your body weary. It's the fact that
face makes my body
weary.
weary.
The fact that you're older than dirt that's making your body weary. Man, you're, sorry to say it, but your warranty is up.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah.
No.
If anything happens to you anymore, I just got to say, well, he was about that age.
I bought the extra warranty.
Yeah, I've seen the way you lived your life, my friend. It's not about the age, it's about the miles, and you've racked them up.
What are you talking about?
So, living it rough. You're living that lifestyle,
I'm nearly a teetotaler.
So.
Nearly.
Yeah. Nearly.
If you throw cookies out of that, I'm a teetotaler.
Tell you what, the day they say I can't have any more meats, the day where I probably just like, it's not worth it. I'm going out, man.
Yeah.
So no more. You got to cut down on that red meat. Nah, I think you just need to die, man. I don't think
that might not be.
I don't think it's happening. Just
you never know.
So. Just Keith Richards me. Just resupply in. Take the old oil out. Put the new oil in.
Sure, that's what he does. That
So,
he does that.
I mean,
he does that.
I love the thing where he talks. I'm sure you've seen it. The one with his housekeeper, like his real housekeeper has done an interview before, and she's like this sweet older lady who has nothing to do with the rock and roll lifestyle.
Right.
And she just, oh, Mr. Keith.
Oh no.
Every day I use the key. I go in. I go, is today the day?
Oh no.
What did Mr. Keith do?
Oh no.
So it's very cool. You ever check it out? What else you got? What are we gonna finish up on, buddy?
Just real quickly, then, just because we have a couple minutes. So we know Flash is going to go into production for DC movies in I think March. Okay. March if not April. Michael Keaton is supposed to be in it.
Oh.
It's supposed to be they're moving forward.
Batman Prime.
Right.
Is what we're hearing.
Yes. Okay. Ray Fisher just said, who plays Cyborg in the Justice League movies, said that he's been pulled from that movie. He's not in that movie anymore. And he thinks it's retaliation because he started this investigation into the Justice League whatever happened with Joss Whedon and Jeff Johns, and that came to a conclusion. Whedon is no longer working with Warner Brothers, but it wasn't like a firing. It was like a, well, we're done with this. You have another project with us, but he's decided not to do that project. Okay, and it was a superhero project called The Nevers on HBO, but he's not going to do that. He's moved along. Nothing's happened to Jeff Johns that we know of, and that Ray Fisher knows of, and he's like this Walter Hamada, who's the Kevin Feige of the DC movies. Him and Jeff Johns are very close, and
the old buddy network.
Hamada even tried to talk Fisher out of even starting this investigation in the first place, or requesting kicking it up the Warner Brothers chain to start an investigation in the first place. So Fisher says it's over, and
he'll never be Cyborg again.
He probably won't be Cyborg again. He said he'd love to, but they did pull him from Flash, and so he doesn't think it'll ever happen again.
I don't know that he's doing himself. I mean, obviously you want to have that paycheck, you want to have that face coverage, you want to have all that, but let's face it, that Justice League movie sucked. The Snyder Cut, I don't know, is going to save it. Maybe it does. You know what?
We'll see.
It can't make it worse.
We'll see.
And plus, he'll probably get another paycheck from it, I would have to think.
He did reshoots for it.
So, there's going to be a little something said, but man, that old boys network, there's a lot of money involved. Yeah. And the thing is he was low man on the totem pole.
Right.
Out of everybody involved, he was the new
He's
name.
the Anti.
Because I want to say Gal Gadot has said stuff. I want to say everybody in that crew has said something, except for maybe Ben Affleck.
About the stuff going on?
About there being a problem on that set.
Yes.
Whether it was specifically about the problem you're mentioning.
Yeah.
But as I said, Gal Gadot has come out and said there was issues.
Right.
I want to say Ezra Miller has come out and said there was issues.
I know Momoa did.
So, did he really?
Yes.
Because he's the one stand-up guy I could have seen being, I don't care.
No.
So, no?
He was like, stuff happened and it needs to be taken care of.
Wow.
I read it this morning.
Okay. What did he say happened?
Well, what they were all talking about, the investigation itself was...
What was this thing between Jeff Johns and...
they said that there were both a bunch of racial stuff that happened.
Really?
And he said he heard conversations, other cast members and crew heard conversations about stuff. Whedon allegedly tried to lighten the skin of one of the black characters or somebody of color, and also they were just saying bad things that you shouldn't say.
Sure. Who in modern Hollywood would be dumb enough? I mean, even if you did believe that kind of nonsense anymore, and that's your state, freedom of speech, blah, 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 I don't care. Who's dumb enough in left-wing Hollywood to say anything out loud, be caught on tape, print it, type it? It's just like, I mean, if...
Power corrupts.
Joss Whedon's got a checkered past already because of the comments and things revolving female actresses.
Right.
After the whole empowerment thing, his divorce got ugly and stuff got said.
Up until Harvey Weinstein, Hollywood in general, and I'm not one of those guys that bashes Hollywood as a whole like they're all the same person, but people in the industry were not held accountable for anything.
Sure.
And so there's that thing where nobody stopped me before.
Yep. He's casting couch for a reason.
And that's how I got this job.
It has not held up his end of the body. All right, everybody. Thank you for checking out GeekStorm. We appreciate it. We hope that you take some time out of your busy schedule to check out Geek Street in the beautiful heart of downtown Kokomo. I'm Sean Hilton. I was joined by my very good friend today, Mike Harrison. Behind the camera, our good friend and producer, director, Mike Dukes. So thank you all very much. You have a groovy day.